Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the basics of research, and for that, I think all of you must have the background that why we are doing research, because research is for me is the cyclic, not only the um, search of truth, but also reanalyzing the facts and what is the scientific evidence available in the world. We always question about its authenticity, about its scientific origin, its scientific validity, its scientific reliability. So we always talk about different types of research, but the research is absolutely, in literal word, is actually the cyclic search for truth. So research for me is not only the cyclic search of truth, but potentially in an infinite number of disciplines we do the research in different aspect, but can be on a simple one topic. For example, if we are talking about diabetes, so a diabetologist with the perspective of the pathophysiology, with the perspective of treatment options, with the perspective of cure, with the perspective of prevention, a diabetologist have a different perspective of research questions that can be done in the area of diabetes. But when we come to the sociological aspect, so there are biopsychosocial aspect that can be done. For example, the psychological impact of diabetes, the sociological impact of diabetes on the population, on the communities, the economic burden of health burden on the country or the healthcare system. So, research is not only the point where one topic can relate to one type of research or one type of search that can be done, but in terms of healthcare or health sciences, we can do research in different domains, in different parameters, and in different dimensions as well. So health science research, because we all are from health sciences, research is indispensable for actually resolving the public issue, or we can say that we are trying to reduce the burden of healthcare. Because in our country, in Pakistan, um, whether we are tackling with the poverty, whether we are going through the burden of chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular, we are number one and number three respectively. And ensuring that, for example, mothers delivering safe practices of delivery. For example, we are highest in the maternal deaths, we are highest in the early childhood mortality. So there are so many problems in healthcare that need our attention. And being in health science research, it is our prime responsibility as a researcher to do some research in terms of resolving that burden or resolving that problem, or actually reducing that burden, or seeing from our perspective that what public is facing and what we are facing as public, and what health challenges we can resolve, or we can find solutions for, or we can find answers for. For example, if I talk about the research and how we can do research, and what can be the five generic areas in health sciences that we can do research about. So, yes, we cannot generalize, but we can summarize about the five different type of researches uh, that we can do, or generic areas that we can opt for, or we can mix and match these things as well. Number one is measuring the magnitude. If we are doing about the incidence and the prevalence of that particular disease, so distribution of the health problem, for example, covid कितना फैल गया है, या निमोनिया आजकल कितना फैल रहा है, या एलर्जीज कितनी है, या मैटरनल डेथ्स जैसे मैंने कोट की कि कितना बढ़ गया है, सेफ जो अबॉर्शंस हैं उनके क्या जो हैं वो रेशियोज हैं, जो मदर के मैटरनल इश्यूज हैं ड्यूरिंग प्रेगनेंसी वो क्या हैं, या बच्चों को कौन से इन्फेक्शंस हो जाते हैं। तो प्रिविलेंस या इंसिडेंट्स पे मेजरिंग द मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम इज बेसिकली द वन ऑफ द एरिया दैट वी ऑल कैन डू, and we do a lot of cross section studies, we do a lot of studies that actually measure the magnitude. तो ये भी देखने वाली बात है कि मेजरिंग द मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ द डिजीज और मेजरिंग द मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम needs particular designs, research designs need particular focus on what disease you want to study, and specifically that measuring the magnitude so that you can identify that what is the uh, problem and what ratio of people are suffering from that particular problem, and is that even a problem to resolve or not, because in Pakistan we have less resources. So when we are investing our resources in research, so you should know that if you are measuring the magnitude of certain problem, so there should be a problem, and that problem should also have a great impact on the society, or it's burdening in healthcare, or it's actually a problem. Secondly, is understanding the diverse causes or determinants. For example, if there are researches and if there are newses and if there is a chaos that there is a problem happening in the country, or if our population and community is burdened by any particular disease. For example, I'm talking about diabetes, because diabetes is when you are using their treatments, when we are dealing with the diabetes, so there is a lot of complications coming with diabetes. So our whole healthcare system is collapsing if we are not affording to uh, maintain the life, because डायबिटीज में आपको पूरी लाइफ को, अपनी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ को देखना पड़ता है। मल्टी ऑर्गन इम्पैक्ट है डायबिटीज का, आप इंसुलिन ले रहे हैं थ्रू आउट द लाइफ टाइम, सो लाइफ सेविंग ड्रग्स आपको चाहिए हैं, उसके बावजूद जो कॉम्प्लिकेशंस है बिकॉज लाइफस्टाइल इंटरवेंशन चाहिए, एक्सरसाइज है, न्यूट्रिशन है, ये सारी चीजें। तो अब अंडरस्टैंडिंग द डाइवर्स कॉजेज एंड डिटर्मिनेंट्स ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, क्योंकि आप सिर्फ दवा नहीं बना सकते, आप सिर्फ इलाज नहीं कर सकते। तो ऑब्वियसली अगर आपको रिसर्च करनी है, तो कुछ लोग तो इस बारे में रिसर्च कर रहे हैं कि भाई कितना मैग्नीट्यूड हो गया एंड द डायबिटीज कितनी फैल गई है, 4 में से 2 लोगों को है, 3 में से 1 लोगों को है, एक को है, तो ऑब्वियसली रेशियो बढ़ता जा रहा है और हमें इसका मैग्नीट्यूड बढ़ गया है। ये हम कोट करते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग सिर्फ इस बात पे रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, एपिडेमोलॉजिस्ट इस बात पे रिसर्च कर रहे होते हैं, there are so many statistician who are in collaboration, there are so many public health experts, so ये टीम वर्क होता है, but measuring the magnitude is one of the thing. बट सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज कि हम डाइवर्स कॉजेज तो आइडेंटिफाई करें कि हमारी पॉपुलेशन क्यों नंबर 1 पे है, what we are doing wrong to actually being the number 1 in the diabetes, और क्या determinants हैं। So not only biological but behavioral, social, environmental, सारे factors को देखना जो है वो भी एक डोमेन है जहाँ पे रिसर्च हो सकती है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल बायोलॉजी या मेडिकल साइंसेस या हेल्थ साइंसेस के लोग ज्यादातर बायोलॉजिकल और बिहेवियरल डेवलप डिटर्मिनेंट्स पे काम करते हैं, कि हम ये देखें कि भाई क्या चीज जो है वो बॉडी के अंदर, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऑक्सीडेटिव रेडिकल्स हैं या इन्फ्लेमेटरी मार्कर्स हैं, या किन चीजों से जो है वो ये डायबिटीज के एस्पेक्ट जो हैं वो इनहेंस हो रहे हैं, या पेनक्रियाज जो है वो डैमेज हो रहा है। और फिर इसको हम रिलेट कर सकते हैं सोशल एस्पेक्ट से, जैसे स्ट्रेस एक बहुत बड़ा साइको सोशल एस्पेक्ट है, जिसको अब बायोलॉजिकल पर्सपेक्टिव से भी और साइको सोशल पर्सपेक्टिव से भी बहुत क्लियर कॉज करार दिया गया है डायबिटीज की। तो सोशल डिटर्मिनेंट्स भी हैं, एंड देन देयर इज एनवायरमेंटल एस्पेक्ट एज वेल। if we are living in Karachi or Hyderabad metropolitan city, but the quality of life is being very harsh, there are so many pollutants there, there are so many things that are disrupting with our hormones, there are so many things that are present in our food, that in our breath, that in our water, so there are so many things। तो बताने का मकसद ये है कि मैग्नीट्यूड के बाद जो एक और डोमेन है जिस पे आप चूज कर सकते हैं, यू कैन पिक एंड चूज the generic area that you want to do research is can be the causes of the disorder, the causes of the problem, or the determinants that whether this is happening in the country or community or the population, and what are the determinants, how we can define that. For example, mental health determinants and social determinants and environmental determinants. So these are the things. Then come to another area, that is the developing solutions or interventions. For example, if you identify that this is the particular diet plan, and this can cause improvement in the disease progression, or it can slow down the disease progression, so you can develop that as a nutritionist or as a health nutrition expert. You can devise that intervention and you can recommend to people, and the research can be done to by the interventional studies, that you are giving one set of population that particular intervention, and you are observing the other set of population as control group, and then you can find out at the end of the research that yes, this nutrition plan is helping to maintain the blood glucose level, to maintain the HbA1c, and to maintain, and it is improving the outcomes of the disease. So yes, we are developing solutions. So this is also a kind of domain that you can touch, that can help to prevent or mitigate the problem. Then the fourth one is implementing or delivering solutions. For example, yes, the nutrition plan is there. Yes, the lifestyle intervention is there. But in our tertiary care, or if in our primary care, or in our secondary care, yes, we can do that. But uh, if we are asking about to do it in the whole country, or as a whole country problem, or as a whole population problem, so we should implement or deliver this solution through policies and programs. And here come the public health research. So public health research is all about implementing those plans that are well researched at the magnitude level, at the determinants level, at the solution levels. And these are not only well researched, but also well reported and published, so that through that particular uh, cited research, and through that particular research that is always published, we are making our implementation plans and policies by citing those particular research domains. And last one is evaluating the impact. For example, आपने yes nutrition plan था, आपने उसको रिसर्च किया था, और आपने रिसर्च करने के बाद आपने उसको जो है वो टेस्टिंग की थी, आपने ट्रायल्स किए थे, और उसके बाद आपने सॉल्यूशन निकाला था। यस, फॉर एग्जांपल, या इंसुलिन थी, देयर इज वन टाइप 1 इंसुलिन एंड टाइप बी इंसुलिन, दो इंसुलिन थी आपके पास, आपने उनको कंपैरिजन किया। या फॉर एग्जांपल सीटाग्लिप्टिन का और इंसुलिन का आपने कंपैरिजन किया, और फिर आपने कहा कि ये नहीं, इंसुलिन बेहतर है, और इंट्रामस्कुलर, और दिस इज द वे, और ये इम्प्रूव कर रही है आपका ग्लूकोज लेवल, तो और ये आपके मल्टी ऑर्गन फेलियर से आपको बचा रही है। तो ये सब चीजें जो हैं जब इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में आती हैं, और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में आपने कहा कि यस, दिस इज द कम्युनिटी एंड दीज आर द डायबिटीज impacted population, and we are actually implementing our plan, and we are opting for that every diabetologist should follow these guidelines. तो वो गाइडलाइंस के इम्पैक्ट क्या आ रहा है, उसका भी प्री एंड पोस्ट असेसमेंट आपने करना पड़ेगा, सो दैट आपको ये पता चलेगा कि yes, in a smaller group of population it was doable and the results were good, and after implementation, whether it is doing good for the community or whether it is not doing that good that we actually hypothesize that it will be good. तो this is also a kind of research. तो 5 तरह की चीजें हैं जो आप एक ही प्रॉब्लम के इर्द गिर्द आप 5 तरह से रिसर्च कर सकते हैं, 5 जेनेरिक एरियाज हो सकते हैं। नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज गोल्स। अच्छा, अब गोल्स क्या है? द थ्री मेजर गोल्स जो आपके रिसर्च के हैं और जो होने चाहिए बेसिकली, एंड दैट इज सर्चिंग फॉर फैक्ट्स। पहली बात तो ये कि आप जो भी प्रॉब्लम, जो आपको प्रॉब्लम लग रही है या जो आपका इंटरेस्ट एरिया है, आप ये देखें, और आप जिन फैक्ट्स की बात करें, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप बात करें कि भाई चीनी खाने से शुगर हो जाती है, तो अगर ये आपको सही भी लगता है, या आई एम नॉट कमेंटिंग ऑन दैट कि ये सही है या गलत है, बट अगर आपको ये सही भी लगता है तो आप सर्च करेंगे फैक्ट को। एज अ रिसर्चर it's your prime responsibility, and it is your primary responsibility to first check for the facts in the available literature. बिकॉज आप किसी भी ऐसी चीज पे रिसर्च नहीं कर सकते, या आप कोई भी ऐसी चीज को प्रॉब्लम नहीं समझ सकते जिसका सॉल्यूशन ऑलवेज अवेलेबल है, या जिसके आंसर्स अवेलेबल हैं। और जस्ट बिकॉज यू वांट टू डू दैट, यू आर डूइंग रिसर्च, बट यू हैवंट सर्च द फैक्ट्स इन द अवेलेबल लिटरेचर, इन द अवेलेबल databases. So this is your prime responsibility and your one major goal. And second, what information you are getting for that particular literature, and then what you are doing research for, and you are analyzing that information. Yes, this is the information I'm getting, and this is the information that I want to analyze, that this can be related to this aspect. And yes, I got the answer. So the second major goal is analyzing the information, and third one is reaching to new conclusions. For example, if you are doing research and you actually went through a lot of publications, a lot of data, a lot of research, and you found out that oxidative radicals are responsible for damaging pancreas, for example, and you are reviewing that particular documents and particular researches that actually prove that this point. But when you see in your population, there are some things that are not actually doing the same thing, and the oxidative radicals are there, but there are so many other pollutants that are interfering the mechanism. So you can reach to the new conclusion because of your population, your circumstances, your environment, your determinants which are very different. So yes, three goals you should be focusing on. One is searching for fact, and then analyzing your information very keenly, and then reaching to the new conclusions, because of you are reanalyzing, and research is all about finding the correlations, finding the obvious answers, and thinking about very non-obvious answers as well. So steps of research, what you have to do when I'm again and again and again using the word research. So research is all about following the steps, and research is all about what you want to find out, uh, and what you are planning to find out, but in a very stepwise and a very disciplined manner. So one is identification of the problem. First, find out the problem and identify the problem that you want to work on and you are very interested in. And secondly, review the available literature about that particular problem, that particular question, that particular problem that is bothering you, whether it is resolved, or whether it is halfway resolved, or whether it is discussed in the whole wide world, or whether it is a problem in a country where you are living, or whether it is a problem in the district you are living. So review the literature, available literature, and literature is anything. Literature can be research publications also, but if the people in your community are not publishing about that particular problem, so you can have the data available on the TV programs, on the podcast, on the newspaper, if it is highlighting that particular problem. So yes, that is also literature available, and you can also consider that. The third one is formulating the hypothesis. Formulating hypothesis is very necessary, because if I'm talking about formulating hypothesis, so formulating hypothesis is one thing that you can say, it is all about that. Yes, this is the problem, and I'm thinking that this is the reason of the problem. If I'm finding out the causes, so yes, I believe that eating habits of our population is leading towards the insulin exhaustion, or the stresses, the psychosocial stresses happening in our country are the main reason that is actually not only consuming our insulin more than early, but also. So I made a hypothesis, and formulating that hypothesis is the main reason that you need to design a protocol, that yes, this is the hypothesis, this is the problem, and how I will prove this hypothesis, or how I will resolve this problem or find the answer of this problem. तो अपना हाइपोथेसिस आप जरूर रखेंगे, प्रॉब्लम आपने आइडेंटिफाई की थी, बट प्रॉब्लम के साथ आपको ये भी एक जहन में है कि यस दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम प्रोबेबल रीजन और आंसर, और दीज आर द प्रोबेबल कॉजेज, और दीज आर द प्रोबेबल determinants. So when you find the hypothesis or when you formulate the hypothesis, then अब इसको हम करेंगे कैसे, तो वो जो आंसर है ना, इसको हम करेंगे कैसे is basically the point where designing a protocol is necessary. Never wait for the data collection and everything that is that you do very randomly, and then you compile it as a research paper. Do formulate a hypothesis and do design a protocol in a stepwise manner, that the synopsis of your or snapshot of what you are doing, what you are going to do, which questionnaire you will use, which tools you will use, कौन से आप जो हैं वो ब्लड टेस्ट करवाएंगे अगर आप करवा रहे हैं, कौन से आप फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू वांट इलेक्ट्रोफिजियोलॉजी, इफ यू वांट अल्ट्रासाउंड्स, कौन से डायग्नोस्टिक टेस्ट हैं जो आप करवाएंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल कौन सा डाटा एनालिसिस टूल यूज आप करेंगे, क्योंकि अब स्टैटिस्टिकल और डाटा ड्रिवन जो है वो रिसर्च की दुनिया है, और अब जो है वो डेटा साइंटिस्ट की दुनिया है। तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि आप कौन से टूल्स यूज करेंगे, आपका डेटा कलेक्शन जो है वो मेथड क्या होगा, आपके क्वेश्चनर्स क्या होंगे, आपको उनसे क्या आंसर्स मिलेंगे, और आपका डेटा किस फॉर्म में आएगा, क्वालिटेटिव डेटा होगा, क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा होगा, दोनों का मिक्स्ड होगा। तो ये सारी चीजें आपको आइडेंटिफाई करके आपको देन योर इंक्लूजन क्राइटेरियाज, योर एक्सक्लूजन क्राइटेरियाज, आप पेशेंट है अगर, तो पेशेंट को किस बेसिस पे आप इंक्लूड करेंगे स्टडी में, और कौन से पेशेंट्स होंगे या कौन से लोग होंगे जिनको आप एक्सक्लूड करेंगे, प्रोटोकॉल में ये सारी चीजें मौजूद होंगी। Then you can collect data. So number fifth step is collecting data. It is not number one step. Collect the data, and then the most important thing is interpretation and analysis of data. You cannot just interpret every data in a one software or in a one method or in a one particular way. So you need a different types of analysis tool. You need different type of test. For example, हम t test भी लगाते हैं, हम अनोवा भी यूज करते हैं, हम काई स्क्वायर भी यूज करते हैं। ये बहुत मैं बेसलाइन टेस्ट की बात कर रही हूँ। एंड देन वी हैव सो मेनी सॉफ्टवेयर्स and we have so many tools like R, like SPSS, like everything that we can use and analyze even the predictive values and predictions of where we are going. So interpretation and analysis of data is very important. And then finally we come to publishing our results. That is another discussion, that publishing results is also very long process, and it's not only as a research paper. Publishing your results have different options you have. So this is where the heartbreak actually. This is E.A. Borlas, and he published a paper on in 2000, and he concluded that it takes 17 years to turn up only 14% of the original research to benefit the patient care. तो आप ये ना समझें कि आज आप रिसर्च करेंगे and then you will be the solution, you are giving the solution of anything to anyone. uh, ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें नोबेल प्राइज मिल जाएगा। तो आप देख सकते हैं, अगर आप इस स्लाइड को गौर से देखें तो इट इज़ वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड. It is basically original research that we are doing, I myself is doing or you are doing. So original research that we are doing, but it is not actually giving us those hypotheses that we actually uh, hypothesized that this might be the reason. So there are negative results. और अगर मैंने कोई एक्सपेरिमेंट लगाया अपनी लैब में और मैंने कहा कि मैं जो हूँ वो माइस मॉडल्स को ये डाइट दूंगी और इस डाइट से वो ये क्योर हो जाएंगे, लेकिन हमारे रिजल्ट्स वो नहीं आए, तो 18% तो नेगेटिव रिजल्ट्स हैं जिनकी वजह से ओरिजिनल रिसर्च डिस्कार्ड हो जाती है, या ओरिजिनल रिसर्च जो है वो पब्लिश होने तक या सबमिशन तक नहीं पहुंचती. लेकिन the good thing is 82% of the original research is actually in almost 6 months to average 6 months. People are sending it for submission somewhere in the journal somewhere, and then almost it take इन 2000 इट माइट टेक 0.6 years, बट अब तकरीबन जो है वो 1 साल के अंदर आपको जो है वो एक्सेप्टेंस आता है। पाकिस्तान का सबसे बड़ा जर्नल जेपीएमए है, और आपको एक एवरेज जो टाइम लगता है पेपर सबमिट करने से लेके पब्लिश होने तक का आफ्टर एक्सेप्टेंस, एंड अलोंग विद दैट होल प्रोसेस इज ऑलमोस्ट 1.5 year, so 18 months. So acceptance, so 46% of the papers that get submitted are rejected, and almost 54% of that original research that people are trying to submit and then accepted are only 54%, and they come to publications. But here come the real challenge. When we publish the data and when we publish our research, we are very happy that our research paper is with us. Our research paper is there in the Google Scholar. Our research paper is there on the PubMed. But the point is that in which journal you published and in which database it is present, and whether it is open access or not. अगर आपका पेपर ओपन एक्सेस नहीं होगा, इसको मैं आसान अल्फाज में समझा देती हूँ। अगर आपका पेपर ओपन एक्सेस जर्नल में नहीं है तो वो सारे साइंटिस्ट को नजर ही नहीं आ रहा। वो सारे साइंटिस्ट को डेटाबेसेस बहुत सारे हैं। एक डेटाबेस का नाम जो हम सब जानते हैं वो है पबमेड। तो अगर पबमेड में आप सर्च कर रहे हो, वो पेपर पबमेड में अवेलेबल नहीं है, लेकिन वो कहीं और अवेलेबल है, किसी और डेटाबेस में अवेलेबल है, उस डेटाबेस का एक्सेस इतना अच्छा नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली आपका पेपर साइट नहीं होगा। लोगों को आपका पेपर नहीं मिलेगा, वो अपने रिसर्च पेपर में आपका रेफरेंस यूज नहीं करेंगे, आपकी रिसर्च कहीं गुम हो जाएगी। So 35% of such researchers lack numbers because of the bibliographic databases and their algorithms, जो कि आजकल algorithms बनते हैं, कौन सा रिसर्च ऊपर आ रहा है, कौन सा रिसर्च नीचे आ रहा है, and this is the thing. And then almost that original research, if it gets cited good, so bibliographic databases 6 to 13 years जो हैं वो almost आपको 6 से 13 साल लगते हैं कि आप bibliographic database में आपका रिसर्च पड़ा हुआ है, और उसके बाद वो every now and then वो पेपर्स में यूज हो रहा है। देन वो पेपर्स से किस में चला गया, रिव्यू में चला गया, गाइडलाइंस में चला गया, मेटा एनालिसिस में चला गया, टेक्स्ट बुक में चला गया। टेक्स्ट बुक्स में हमें चैप्टर्स में हम देखते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं सबसे अच्छी एग्जाम्पल देती हूँ कि हमने गाइटन में पढ़ा था कि हॉटकिन एंड हक्सले actually made this theory and proved this theory that sodium channels are responsible for depolarization in the action potential। ये चीज हम एज अ रेफरेंस बात टेक्स्ट बुक में पढ़ते हैं। अब ये चेंज नहीं हो सकती, इसको कोई चैलेंज नहीं करता, क्योंकि इसके बाद इस पे और रिसर्च होती गई और ये एक फैक्ट बन गया। तो जो चीज फैक्ट बन जाती है वो टेक्स्ट बुक में आ गई या गाइडलाइंस में आ गई। तो वो रिसर्च हॉटकिन एंड हक्सले ने जो की थी वो ये पूरा सफर तय करके गुजरी, और उसके बाद जो है वो किस में आ गई, रिव्यूज में आ गई, गाइडलाइंस में आ गई और टेक्स्ट बुक में आ गई। लेकिन 35% लैक ऑफ नंबर्स के बाद जो रिव्यू और गाइडलाइंस तक पहुंचे थे वो ही जाके इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में पार्ट लेते हैं। यानी अब गाइडलाइन में लिखा हुआ है कि भाई डायबिटीज के पेशेंट को इतनी शुगर लेवल पे आपने ये मिलीग्राम ऑफ दवा देनी है, तो वो सारा उसमें कई रिसर्चेज आ गई। सीटाग्लिप्टिन पे जो रिसर्च हुई वो आ गई, डायबिटीज के पेशेंट के ब्लड ग्लूकोज लेवल पे जो रिसर्च हुई वो आ गई, और उसके बाद वो गुजरते गुजरते इन सारे प्रोसेस से रिव्यूज गाइडलाइन में आई, रिव्यूज में आई, टेक्स्ट बुक में आई, और उसके बाद वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन तक आई। सो दिस इज द स्टोरी, बट डोंट गेट डिसहार्टेड कि आपकी रिसर्च कभी गाइडलाइंस में नहीं आएगी। इट डिपेंड्स कि आप क्या रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, और हम इसलिए नहीं कर रहे कि हमारी सारी रिसर्च जो है वो गाइडलाइंस में आए। So types of research, there are three types of research in general broadly, which is actually basic research, applied research, and clinical research. Sorry. So basic research is all about physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, where you are actually investigating basic principles and reasons for the occurrence of particular event, जैसे हॉटकिन और हक्सले ने किया था कि फिजियोलॉजी का बेसिक एक्सपेरिमेंट लगाया था, और फिजियोलॉजी के बेसिक एक्सपेरिमेंट में उन्होंने आपको बेसिक मैकेनिज्म बताया था। अगर हमें ये बात पता है कि एक्शन पोटेंशियल ऐसे होता है तो वो भी बेसिक साइंस रिसर्च थी। अगर हमें ये पता है कि ब्लड फ्लो ऐसे होता है तो वो भी बेसिक साइंस रिसर्च थी। अगर हमें ये पता है आरबीसी की शक्ल ऐसी होती है तो वो भी बेसिक साइंस रिसर्च थी। अप्लाइड रिसर्च क्या होती है? अप्लाइड रिसर्च ये होती है कि आप जो हैं वो एक ऐसी साइंटिफिक स्टडी कर रहे हैं जो कोई प्रैक्टिकल सॉल्यूशन प्रोवाइड करेगी। फॉर एग्जांपल, आपने ग्लूकोमीटर बनाया। ग्लूकोमीटर बनाने का जो प्रोसेस था, जो ग्लूकोमीटर बनाने की रिसर्च थी, वो अप्लाइड रिसर्च कहलाएगी। अगर आपने कोई ड्रग बनाई तो वो क्या कहलाएगी? अप्लाइड रिसर्च कहलाएगी। अगर आपने बैक पेन को एनालाइज करने का कोई टूल बनाया, आपने पेन एनालाइज करने का कोई टूल बनाया है, तो वो अप्लाइड रिसर्च कहलाएगी। अगर आपने कोई ऐसा मेथड डिजाइन किया है जिससे सेफ डिलीवरी हो सकती है तो वो अप्लाइड रिसर्च कहलाएगी। सो अप्लाइड रिसर्च इज ऑल अबाउट टेस्टिंग द सॉल्यूशंस यू आर प्रपोजिंग। एंड देन कम्स द क्लिनिकल रिसर्च। लोगों के जहन में ये आता है कि क्लिनिकल रिसर्च शायद वो है जो हम बीमार लोगों पे करते हैं या जिसमें मरीज इन्वॉल्व होते हैं। Clinical research is about when you are involving human subject and intervening them. For example, मैं आपको ये कहूँ कि ये एक ग्रुप है, इस ग्रुप को हम इंसुलिन नहीं देंगे, इसको हम मेडिसिन से ग्लूकोज लेवल जो है वो मेंटेन करेंगे। सेकेंड ग्रुप है, इसको हम इंसुलिन ए देंगे, और थर्ड ग्रुप है, इसको हम इंसुलिन बी देंगे। तो ये जो रिसर्च होगी ये क्लिनिकल रिसर्च कहलाएगी, जहाँ पे आप पर्टिकुलर ह्यूमंस को और ग्रुप ऑफ ह्यूमंस को जो है वो क्या करते हैं, आप टेस्ट करते हैं। फिर एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च, इसमें दवा क्यों नहीं जरूरी, इसमें मेडिसिन ही ऑलवेज क्यों नहीं हो सकती? बिकॉज ये भी क्लिनिकल रिसर्च है कि अगर ट्रॉमा के सब्जेक्ट हैं, ट्रॉमा के सब्जेक्ट को आपने जो है वो काउंसलिंग की, और कुछ ट्रॉमा के सब्जेक्ट को आपने एक्सरसाइज करवाई, और कुछ ट्रॉमा के सब्जेक्ट्स को आपने मेडिटेशन करवाई, और तीनों सब्जेक्ट्स के आपने प्री एंड पोस्ट रिजल्ट्स देखे। ये भी क्लिनिकल रिसर्च है। ठीक है। अगर आप हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल्स की बात करें तो हेल्दी इंडिविजुअल्स में भी आप एक डाइट पे रखते हैं, एक को दूसरी डाइट पे रखते हैं, और तीसरी डाइट पे रखते हैं, और आप देखते हैं हेल्दी एजिंग। आप देखते हैं कि एक हेल्दी लोग हैं पर इनकी एजिंग कितनी ज्यादा तेजी से होगी या नहीं होगी, नॉर्मल प्रोसेस है, कोई डिसऑर्डर नहीं है उनको। ये भी क्लिनिकल रिसर्च कहलाएगी। सो बेसिक रिसर्च, अप्लाइड रिसर्च एंड क्लिनिकल रिसर्च, it is the three type of research that you can do. Basic research is always needing certain labs, certain tests, certain resources, and basic research is very expensive because you are actually proposing and hypothesizing about the mechanisms. While जैसे अगर आपको पता है कि हर टू जीन है जो ब्रेस्ट कैंसर के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, लेकिन जो जिन्होंने ये जीन आइडेंटिफाई की और फिर उन्होंने जीन को टेस्ट किया और फिर उन्होंने पेशेंट के सैंपल्स लेके उसको मैकेनिज्म्स को आइडेंटिफाई किया कि हर टू जीन कैसे ट्रिगर हो जाती है, तो ये सब बेसिक रिसर्च थी। बट जब आप उस रिसर्च को यूज करते हुए आपने कोई प्रोसीजर आइडेंटिफाई किया, तो ऑब्वियसली वो अप्लाइड रिसर्च है। और क्लिनिकल रिसर्च वो है जब आप उनकी कंपैरेटिव स्टडी करेंगे जहां पे ह्यूमन सब्जेक्ट्स इन्वॉल्व होंगे। ओके, सो द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज द टॉपिक सिलेक्शन। टॉपिक कैसे सेलेक्ट करें, कौन सा राइट टॉपिक है रिसर्च के लिए, और वो टॉपिक अगर है तो उस टॉपिक को कैसे पर्टिकुलर बनाना है रिसर्च के लिए। दिस इज वन थिंग दैट, sorry, I think it is unshared. Okay. So topic selection is one of the thing that you need to do in your brain specifically, where you can see that you can identify that your topic is too broad or it will be superficial if it is broad like this. Don't be shallow, go deeper to that. For example, if I ask you, you say that I want to do research in diabetes. So this is too broad. What do you want to do in diabetes? What you want to, which population do you want to choose? Which kind of circumstances? What is the research question? So you have to go deeper to that. For example, there is a broad topic, the history of medicine development in Pakistan. This is a very broad topic. If you come to me that I want to do research in the on the history of Pakistani medicine or the medicine development in Pakistan, so I still say that this is a very broad topic. What do you want to do? We should narrow down the topic and the history of the medicine industry in Pakistan during the disease outbreak of late 1990s. It is somewhat narrowed down that yes, we have a time frame, that yes, we are doing the research, we are finding the historical events that medicine industry has went through when the disease outbreak was there in 1990s. But still, this is a very broad topic. You must narrow down with a research particular question, that what is your hypothesis as well, that is reflecting from the research question, that did the medicine industry of the late 1990s is in Pakistan that bring harm to the disease outbreak, or did it benefited the disease outbreak? So this is the particular research question that I want you to answer in a single research. So for a single research and starting from that scratch, you should have your particular narrowed down research question. So, how we do that? The research question should include a topic that you are interested in, and then your interest here. So, there should be a topic from here. There is a topic, diabetes, that you are interested, and your interest is, for example, in causes or prevention. So, your question must lie here, the topic also, but your interest as well. Focus on the areas within your interest. So, this is it. And for beginners, I suggest that when you find that particular area where the topic you want to pick is there and your area of research interest in that particular topic is there, write a research essay that is intended you to allow to answer the question or controversy related to the topic. But don't write before reviewing the literature or reading as much as you can. That is the important thing. So this is the right way to identify a research question and identify a research topic. And then you have to answer the following in your research topic. What actually puzzles you in that particular topic and question? What do you want to do? And what do you want others to understand? And what are the key research questions that you have in your mind related to that particular topic? Answer that. What? And then answer why. Why will this be of enough interest to others to be published as a thesis, paper, book, guideline, anything? Can research be satisfied or justified एज कंट्रीब्यूशन टू नॉलेज, या आप सिर्फ इस सेक के लिए कर रहे हैं कि भाई आपको पेपर पब्लिश करना है जल्दी से क्योंकि आपको प्रमोशन चाहिए? इफ यू वांट टू आंसर द रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम और रिसर्च क्वेश्चन, सो यू शुड नो the significance of the topic. So answer what's, answer why's about your research topic, then answer where the research will be conducted. If you are doing it in a city, if you are doing in a district, if you are taking population from all over the country, if you are taking population from only a province, where you are doing it. So answer the where and then answer how. How you will investigate these all, what, why, and where, and how uh, you will be doing that. So particularly, you will answer it with the help of the techniques you will be applying or technique you will be using. So there is a conceptual framework in your brain and on your paper that how you will do that. To start with, you should always what, why, where, and how you should answer. And while you were doing that, you might come across that you have to opt for a particular research design. And research design is already a very big topic. So I'm not going into detail, but these are the research topics that you can do. You can do either a descriptive research if your question is particularly fitting in that particular design where you have to answer and you have to do a community survey for that particular answer. So your study should be descriptive research design, and it leads to the community survey. But when you do the analytical type of research, so it can be experimental, it can be non-experimental. Experimental is when we are intervening something. For example, you are giving medicine to certain population and you are seeing the impact of that particular medication, and you are comparing that particular medication. You have a control group of patients and you have a treated group of patient, and you are comparing that since 3 months they are taking the blood pressure controlling drugs, and then we are comparing it with the other group that is not taking the medication but they are taking the lifestyle intervention, for example. So, experimental study broadly can be classified into randomized control trial and non randomized control trial. Randomized control trial is actually the study where you are randomly choosing the population to include in your study. While non randomized control trial is whatever population is coming to you in the clinic, you are actually doing clinical trial on that. And then non experimental study that we do are also known as observational studies, because we are observing people as it is there and then as they are in that particular time frame. These are cohort study, case control study, and cross-sectional study. Cross-sectional study are the most easiest one. A lot of students, undergraduate, postgraduate, are doing that cross-sectional study where they are actually observing the population there and then as it is. For example, you want to know the BMI of a lot of people, and you want to hypothesize that yes, the obesity is on rise. So all the population are getting measured and you are doing that research. So this is cross-sectional study. Control study is that, for example, if you are comparing two populations and one is healthy and one is non-healthy, so you are actually comparing that this is actually population, those are actually not taking that particular diet and they are not obese, but these are the obese people. So we are actually comparing these two people, cases and controls. So you have two groups. For example, one study I can give you example: two pregnant females, one is preeclamptic and one is not preeclamptic, and one having a normal pregnancy. So if you want to do a study on preeclampsia, you can make a case control study design where you are comparing the control pregnant women with the women in the preeclampsia, so that you should know that the preeclamptic, if you are studying preeclamptic females, so you should know that what normal pregnancy look like and whether the normal pregnant female have the same things in the body as the preeclamptic female. So this is case control study. Then case cohort and cohort study. Cohort, when I'm using cohort word, it is a longitudinal study. Longitudinal study is about the time frame where, for example, if I'm taking smokers right now, that these are the smokers, they are chronic smokers, they are taking cigarettes 10 years, since 10 years. Now I want to study them for the next 3 years so that I can see that what uh, problems they will develop because of their smoking problem. So this is cohort study, longitudinal study, but in future. So from now to future, it is a prospective study. आप उसको prospective study कहेंगे. लेकिन for example, I'm a cardiac surgeon and I am worried about that. Yes, there are so many table deaths and young people are coming with heart attacks and we cannot save them. So, what might be the reason? So, we collect the data of those people who lost their lives and also the people who are coming to the clinics with the heart attacks and heart problems. And then we see the retrospective study. We do the retrospective study that since 10 years, what are their eating habits? Are they smoking or not? Or what are their lifestyle? So this is known as reट्रोस्पेक्टिव स्टडी, कि आप पिछले वक्तों के डेटा से एनालाइज करते हैं कि जो करंट कंडीशन है इसका ये रीजन हो सकता है। और प्रोस्पेक्टिव में आप कहते हैं कि ये रीजन है और आई वांट टू सी कि ये रीजन फर्दर क्या कॉम्प्लिकेशन डेवलप करता है। This is the very easy diagram that you can see cases and controls that I explained, and you are comparing the risk factors. Retrospective cohort means obviously this is the time currently, this is the present, and you are comparing कि yes lung cancer के साथ लोग आ रहे हैं तो risk factors क्या क्या थे। ये सब लोग सिगरेट पीते थे, ये सब लोग सिगरेट नहीं पीते थे, ये किसी पॉल्यूटेड जगह पे रहते थे, ये किसी ऐसी जगह पे रहते थे जहां पे कोई ऐसा केमिकल था। तो आप रिट्रोस्पेक्टिवली स्टडी करते हैं। प्रोस्पेक्टिव कोहॉर्ट में आप ये देखते हैं कि यार ये सब लोग जो हैं वो दीज ऑल आर एक्चुअली लिविंग in exposure to that particular pollutant, and I want to see that कितने लोग इनमें से लंग कैंसर डेवलप करेंगे अगले 5 साल में, 6 साल में, 10 साल में। तो आप प्रोस्पेक्टिव स्टडी करते हैं। और क्लिनिकल ट्रायल इज ऑल अबाउट एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टडीज। फॉर एग्जाम्पल रैंडमाइज कंट्रोल ट्रायल है, नॉन रैंडमाइज कंट्रोल ट्रायल है, नॉट ट्रीटेड ग्रुप एंड देन ट्रीटेड ग्रुप, यू आर गिविंग मेडिकेशन, यू आर गिविंग सम इंटरवेंशन, समथिंग एल्स। इन सब चीजों से आप जो रिसर्च, इन सारे स्टेप से जो आप रिसर्च करते हैं उसको कंपाइल करते हैं, उसको लिखते हैं, तो वो आप जाहिर है एज अ रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश करना चाहते हैं। तो ओवरऑल 5 तरह के पेपर्स होते हैं जो इन सारी स्टडीज से आप कर सकते हैं और पब्लिश कर सकते हैं। लेकिन उन पेपर्स की कुछ कैटेगरीज होती हैं जिनको आप आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं। जैसे ब्रेक थ्रू पेपर्स होते हैं। ब्रेक थ्रू पेपर्स वो होते हैं जो किसी जर्नल में या किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में जब आप जाते हैं लोग अपने पेपर जो है वो पढ़ रहे होते हैं। सो दीज ब्रेक थ्रू पेपर्स आर ओनली वन ऑफ अ काइंड, and it happens in years that the breakthrough paper is one, or breakthrough research is one that solves an open problem that no one is able to do that. And दिस कैन बी रेयर, दिस इज वन इन अ टाइम। और फिर उसके बाद वो ट्रेंड सेटिंग होती है और फिर उसके बाद जो है वो लोग उसके उस प्रॉब्लम पे रिसर्च करने लगते हैं या उस पेपर के पढ़ के दोबारा उस पे फर्दर अपने रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस बनाते हैं। ब्रेक थ्रू पेपर आपको, अगर आप बहुत लकी हुए तो किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में एक ही सुनने मिलेगा या किसी जर्नल में आपको मिलेगा और वो बहुत ही यूनिक पेपर होता है। Groundbreaking papers are actually the link of breakthrough paper, that it opens up a field or area. Yes, no one thought about this and they published it. So let's talk about this. Let's explore that particular angle. So these are the groundbreaking papers. And then the invention paper, for example, the paper about any device, any technique, any medicine, that how it works, how it is, how you are using, or how it developed. For example, if someone is making glucometer, so they write a paper on it that yes, glucometer reliability depends on these tests, and glucometer is work like this. So invention papers are there. Then comes the progress paper. Progress paper are normally those papers that we publish that solves open problem that we have seen everywhere, and these are very typical paper, all of the people all the conferences are presenting. And then there are surveys that are particularly epidemiological and public health perspective, or frameworks that in a very large domain you are getting data and then you are publishing those surveys. So हाउ यू कैन पब्लिश योर रिसर्च फाइंडिंग, जो मैंने अभी पहले भी जिक्र किया था कि एक तरीका नहीं होता कि आप अपनी रिसर्च फाइंडिंग लोगों तक या रीडर्स तक या जो लोग पढ़ना चाहते हैं या जो लोग रिसर्च कर रहे हैं उन तक पहुंचा सकें। जर्नल आर्टिकल तो नंबर वन है ही जो आपको करना है, बट देयर इज अ वर्किंग पेपर। जर्नल आर्टिकल पब्लिश करने से पहले आप एक वर्किंग पेपर भी पब्लिश कर सकते हैं। योर प्रिलिमिनरी रिजल्ट्स यू कैन पब्लिश। और अगर आपको ग्रांट मिली हुई है या आप एक ऐसे रिसर्चर्स हैं कि आपको फंड्स मिले हुए हैं उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट पे, तो वहाँ पे भी आप, होता ही है कि डोनर्स के अपने पोर्टल्स होते हैं जहां आप वर्किंग पेपर सबमिट करा सकते हैं। देन कॉन्फ्रेंस पेपर, when you are presenting in a conference, you are sending them, then they are asking for the whole paper, and then they are publishing these papers in the proceedings. You can always after publishing journal article, after publishing conference paper, you can always write a book chapter on your particular findings. And there are so many now publishing agencies that are publishing your research in form of book chapters. You can always write a technical report. For example, I won a lot of grants. So when you are in the middle of the grant, or there are phases, that this is the first phase of the grant and the second phase of the grant and the third phase of the grant, so you always want to publish, you always have to publish technical reports. And these technical reports, that we are here, and now we are here. For example, if you can see the Birmingham Heart Study, which is actually happening since 1970s, and they publish their always working paper and technical reports every now and then, every year, that we are now here, we are now here. And most of the papers are actually extracted from Birmingham Heart Study, that about the cardiovascular events. Then also you can deliver a talk, a conference presentation based on this whole published findings. So this is also one way to present your work or publish your work. And then dissertations. In our country, it is not very automatic and very organized. But in in international domains where you are writing dissertation, it is online. It has a digital object identifier. It has a DOI number. It is actually uploaded there, and you can always read the dissertations. Now, Higher Education Commission Pakistan also made it very open that PhD dissertation are available online. So yes, you can always publish it like that. Ethics are also very important when you are doing research, and these are the fundamentals of research. So, it is your prime responsibility to be ethical in every aspect when you are conducting research or doing research. So, actions that might be seen as plagiarism, which is a main concern nowadays, right now, because when you do research, so idea will be yours. It should be original. You, if you are writing, you are using your own words, own vocabulary, and you are actually not quoting something that is actually copy pasting anything. So plagiarism is all about not only the copy pasting thing or similarity from the other research paper, but plagiarism is all about stealing someone's idea, or borrowing someone's idea and not acknowledging them. So plagiarism is also that. So try to claim the credit for something that is not your work is plagiarism. Buying, stealing और borrowing a paper, जो कि बहुत common है आजकल हमारे यहाँ, कि पैसे दें और पेपर लिखवा लें. So this is also a kind of theft. But medical writing is not. Medical writing is something else, because you have drafted a paper, you have you have done the research, but you don't have the capacity to actually reorganize it and make it more publishable in terms of international toughest guidelines. So that is something else. But buying, stealing, or borrowing a paper that someone is doing research and you are publishing it with your name because you are paying them, using the source too closely when paraphrasing, yes, you are copy pasting and you are just using different synonyms, and you are changing some words, but still it is very closely saying what the original article is saying. So this is also plagiarism. Building on someone's idea, yes, this is also plagiarism. Without citation, you are not acknowledging them, but you are building your whole concept and whole research on the basis of their idea, but you are claiming that it is your idea. This is also plagiarism. Hiring someone to write your paper but not giving them the authorship is also a kind of plagiarism. सो हाउ टू अवॉइड प्लेजरिज्म? इट इज़ वेरी इजी। एआई का दौर है, अब आप लोगों को बहुत सारी असिस्टेंस वैसे भी मिल जाती है। हाउ टू अवॉइड प्लेजरिज्म? मेकिंग श्योर यू यूज योर ओन वॉइस। Always use QPCM SM. Q is quoting, P for paraphrasing, S for summarizing, and M for mention the source. It is very easy. Quote the thing, एंड ऑब्वियसली आप दूसरे रिसर्च पेपर से अपनी रिसर्च को बैक कर रहे हैं तो आप रीजंस देंगे, आप रेफरेंसेस देंगे, आप उसको पैराफ्रेज जरूर करें, आप उनके अल्फाज को अपने स्टोरी लाइन के हिसाब से चेंज करें, समराइज करें। उनका पूरा पेपर पढ़ के आपने तो एक लाइन लिखनी है अपने पेपर में, तो आप उसको कोशिश करें कि आप खुद से उसको समराइज कर सकें कि यस, इस पेपर से हमें ये बात कही गई है पर हमारे रिजल्ट ये कहते हैं, आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं। And then mention the source always. These are some plagiarism checkers, and tools Turnitin is one of the best. Authenticate का ये सॉफ्टवेयर है, इसमें आप जाएंगे तो वो अब आपको इवन ये भी बता देता है कि अगर आपने एआई से पूरा पेपर लिखा है तो वो ये भी बता देता है कि एआई से सिमिलैरिटी कितनी आ रही है, एंड यू शुड ह्यूमनाइज इट, यू शुड राइट इट डाउन बाय योर ओन एज वेल। प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ रिसर्च एथिक्स, इसके अलावा क्योंकि आप ह्यूमन सब्जेक्ट पे करें या एनिमल्स पे करें, यू शुड कंसिडर three principal rules, and these are universal. One is respect people, respect for persons in one of the fundamental principles in research, and it is recognition of person as an autonomous, unique and free individual. आपको उसकी कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी का ख्याल रखना है, आपको उसकी रिस्पेक्ट करनी है, आपको उसके डिसीजंस का ख्याल रखना है। अगर आप किसी भी पेशेंट को, किसी भी सब्जेक्ट को अपनी स्टडी में शामिल कर रहे हैं तो आपने ये देखना है कि आपने उनको हर चीज, हर स्टेप बहुत तहम्मुल से क्लैरिफाई करना है। आपने उनसे कोई चीज नहीं छुपानी है, आपने उनकी ऑटोनॉमी का ख्याल रखना है, आपने उनकी डिग्निटी का ख्याल रखना है। मेक श्योर कि जो आप रिसर्च कर रहे हैं वो दूसरों को हार्म ना करे, बल्कि वो दूसरों को फायदा पहुंचा रही हो, वो एक बेनिफिशियल हो ओवरऑल कम्युनिटी के लिए भी। ये भी आप पेशेंट को, सब्जेक्ट को बताएंगे कि आप क्यों रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं, आपकी रिसर्च से दुनिया को क्या फायदा होगा। और एक प्रिंसिपल रखिए कि आप हमेशा जो है वो when you are kind to the world, so obviously you can benefit others. So it is much more important. And then justice for all, which is that requires fair and equal distribution. You cannot say, you cannot be biased that yes, I will do this in government sector hospital, public sector hospital, क्योंकि वहां पे तो गरीब लोग आ रहे हैं, तो कोई ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं है और आप आसानी से उन पे रिसर्च कर सकते हैं। लेकिन यू कैन नॉट डू दैट इन आगा खान बिकॉज इट इज द प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल एंड प्राइवेट सेटअप एंड people are paying much, so they are not allowing you to do research on them. So you should be doing justice with the equal distribution of benefits and the risk of the participation in the research study. So these are the three fundamental rules of the research regarding the ethics. You should respect people, you should benefit them in one way or another, and justice for all. वल्नरेबल पॉपुलेशंस का बहुत आपने ख्याल रखना है, अनलेस कि आप वल्नरेबल पॉपुलेशन के ही किसी प्रॉब्लम पे स्टडी कर रहे हो। You cannot use children without their parents' consent in any study, and you cannot use children in any study if it is not needed. Okay, and then mentally impaired people, because they cannot take decision on their own, तो वो आपको कंसेंट नहीं दे सकते। अगर आप उनको यूज करें तो इट इज अ मिस यूज, अनलेस कि आप डिसेबिलिटी पे ही कोई रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, मेंटल इलनेस पे ही कोई रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, तो फिर आप उनके जो भी केयर टेकर हैं या जो भी उनके गार्जियन हैं, आप उनसे क्या लेंगे? कंसेंट लेंगे टू इन्वॉल्व देम इन एनी स्टडी। प्रिजनर्स हैं, प्रिजनर्स क्योंकि ऑब्लिगेटेड होते हैं, प्रिजनर्स जो हैं वो अपना डिसीजन खुद नहीं ले सकते, तो आप उन पे ऐसे ही रिसर्च नहीं कर सकते। स्टूडेंट्स हैं, मैं एक टीचर हूँ, मैंने अपनी क्लास में कहा कि भाई आज अटेंडेंस नहीं होगी, पहले सबको ब्लड सैंपल देने, तो ऐसा नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि ये वल्नरेबल पॉपुलेशन है, क्योंकि वो ऑब्लिगेटेड है मेरी बात मानने पे, क्योंकि उनके मार्क्स मेरे पास हैं, मैं ये नहीं कर सकती। ऑफिस में जो आपके असिस्टेंट होते हैं या आपके एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं, आप उन पे भी रिसर्च नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि वो ऑब्लिगेटेड होते हैं आपकी बात मानने के लिए। तो ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। देन अच्छा जी, अब राइटिंग की बात कर लेते हैं थोड़ी सी, जो सबसे मुश्किल काम लगता है लोगों को, प्रोसेस ऑफ पेपर राइटिंग। ड्राफ्टिंग 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 इज द मेन क्राइटेरिया। You have to write, draft, leave it, again read, draft, leave it, again read, draft, read, and then revise it. So, pre writing, revise, but before it, plan. You have to plan a skeleton of your manuscript, that if you are writing a research paper, it should have an introduction, it should have a objective or purpose of study, it should have clear methodology and then subheadings of methodology, for example, research design, for example, inclusion criteria, for example, exclusion criteria, for example, um, methods, tools you are using or test you are using, and then analysis. And then you put your results there, and then the discussion, and then the conclusion. So you must have a skeleton of your manuscript and then start writing. Write it badly, as bad as you can. There is no one there, and you have to put your all thoughts and brain things on the paper, and then revise it, and then revise it, and then revise it. So create an outline first, plan on multiple drafts. There can be not only a single draft and you can send. No. Tables and figures, add them early, remove them later. That yes, there are so many figures, there are so many tables, so we can shrink it down, we can summarize it down. But first of all, put the paper, whether it is 20 pages or 30 pages, and then reduce it to the 4 to 5 pages or 6 pages. And then deadlines also. Follow also deadline. Otherwise, your paper will be there on your computer screen, but it never be executed. So set yourself deadlines. So, मोटिवेशंस क्या है रिसर्च की, आप लोग क्यों रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं? यू शुड हैव समथिंग इंपॉर्टेंट इनफ टू शेयर विद अदर्स, लाइक न्यू आइडियाज, न्यू डाटा, इंटेलिजेंट रिव्यूज ऑफ ओल्ड फैक्ट्स एंड आइडियाज, मेच्योर रिजल्ट्स, ये सब हैं बहुत अच्छी मोटिवेशंस है. But basically, as a human psychologist, I can say that we will be archived for our life. This is one of our motivation, that yes, we will be there or not, but our paper will be there in the database. So it is always available as a snapshot of your work. So be sure that archive should be good. आपको अपना मुंह ना छुपाना पड़े 10 साल बाद के ये मेरा आर्काइव है या मेरा पेपर है. It is a vehicle of clarification which give us very much satisfaction that you actually develop that manuscript or the arguments that is clarifying some concept in scientific way. So this is also very a good motivation. Sorry. Product of research. You are innovating something, you are giving some theory, you are giving some idea, you are clarifying some old fact. This is your product of research. So I am very proud of myself that yes, I have executed it and I have written it. So this is product of my research. So this is also a motivation for me, and this should be motivation for me. And then the audience gives you potentially wide audience, reaches to specialist peers in our area. If someone is sitting in Bangladesh, if someone is sitting in India, if someone is sitting in Eastern Europe, and they are actually reading your paper, but in real, you cannot go to them and you cannot talk to them, but your paper is there. So this is one of the highest motivation we should have, that writing a paper and publishing our research is making us archived, is making us vehicle of clarification as a person that is clarifying some problem, some fact, and we have audience from all over the world. They are actually reading our paper, that we are not able to go there and publish and make them read our research, and then it is our product of research. So this should be the motivation. But the wrong reasons are there. Wrong reasons are there, and avoid them as much as you can avoid it. For example, peer pressure. Peer pressure is actually that particular pressure that everyone have. Oh, how many publications you have? I have 51 publications and you have only 4 publications. Don't go into that particular trail, that they have this number of publication and we do not have this number of publication. Don't go for paper writing or research because it is famous and it make you famous that you are a researcher. Don't go for that. And it make you famous when you publish paper or when you present paper, so it make you famous. Increase your publication count. To increase your publication count, because you have to promote from one cadre to another, so don't go into that. These are all wrong reasons to get published or to do research. And last, you want to go for a conference, so you have to write an abstract or research paper in a summarized way so that you can send them and they will call you, and then you can go for a conference abroad. So these are all the wrong reasons to do the research or do something. Consider a scientific article as a critical argument. State your problem, posing a question that we have identified in the mm, earliest stages of our research. Present the evidence that you have done this assessment, the validity of the evidence, strengths and weakness, and then put the conclusion. So this is all the your writing is all about. Overall, research is all about not only the societal necessity. Yes, in a country like Pakistan, we do more and more and more research because it is a societal necessity to find the exact right problems and to find the solutions to that particular problem. We are not equipped enough to waste our resources in useless researches. It is a societal need that we need to find cures, particular cures, particular preventions, particular awareness. And then it is also a medical challenge because we are not researching well, we are not focused in research. So that's why our every health burden, every disease is enhancing, everywhere health burden is enhancing. So it is becoming medical challenge, and every doctor is saying that yes, we are so burdened with our practices and with the patients that we don't have time for the research. But to resolve this problem, you have to go back to A and you have to find out the what are the problem. And when you identify the problem, then only you can resolve the problem, and then you can only reduce this medical challenge and you can fight with this medical challenge. It is also an economic requirement because we cannot put so much money in the healthcare, and our burden of disease is increasing and increasing and increasing. So we have to reduce the burden of the disease, and the burden of the disease is only being reduced when you are doing right research and we are identifying the right research questions. So everything is about right research. The nation must take the necessary step, and you guys must take the necessary step to redefine the threats to the health. Whether it is the simplest one, ये खाने से ये हो जाता है. Do the research and publish it, and then identify that how it can be, it can improve the lives, and how it can improve the lives in your clinics. So immediately address the public health crisis the research can do. So this is it with my research, and this is my email address. If you want to ask any question, you can always ask, and you can always send your